Is it my turn, Anna?
Not yet, Bang.
Not yet. Okay.
Yes. We will wait for the participant to join. Good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good evening for some of you that already joining as a participant. Maybe we will wait for another 2 minutes to start the press conference as we waiting for other people to join.
Anna, the journalists are gonna be also in this channel or a different channel, or like YouTube or
Yes, they also invited into this channel also.
this channel? Okay.
Okay, it's already 2 minutes. I think we can start the global press con now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, good morning, maybe for some of you, or maybe good evening also for some of you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rahma Sofiana. On behalf of Ummah for Earth Alliance, I would like to extend my warm welcome to each and every one of you who joining this global press conference today. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this important global press conference on climate change fatwa. Today we have convened to address the fatwa on global climate change that has been granted by the Ulama Council of Indonesia in last November 2023. We are really excited and very delighted to have you all here. We understand the significance of this issue, and we are really greatly appreciate your interest and presence here. We have already our guest speakers here We're thanking also the speaker who joined us today, Mr. Leonard Simanjuntak as a country director of Greenpeace Indonesia, who will be opening the press con. And then Dr. Hayu Prabowo as the chairman of environmental and natural resources body from Majelis Ulama Indonesia, Ulama Council Indonesia. And then Nuhat Awad as Ummah for Earth campaigner, and also the global outreach coordinator for the Alliance for Ummah for Earth. And then we're thanking also Mbak Nana Firman as a knowledge seeker and environmental enthusiast, whom previously working for Green Faith, but now she's preferred to call as an environmental enthusiast. And then we're thanking also Dr. Ode Al-Jayusi from Gulf University at Bahrain. Welcome to all speakers. Before we proceed, I would like to explain the outline, our agenda today for the press conference. So we will start from the opening speech from Pak Leo as our country director. And then I will give the floor to Pak Hayu, Dr. Hayu from the Ulama Council to explaining about the fatwa itself. And then after that, I will give time to Nuhat as a representative for the Ummah for Earth. Will give her views on this fatwa. And then Mbak Nana Firman. And then last but not least, to Dr. Ode. And then after that, we will open the floor for questions and answer session. So without further ado, let us commence with today's press conference. I will give the floor to Pak Leonard Simanjuntak to open the press conference. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Anna. Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, good afternoon from Jakarta, and good evening, good morning to you in other parts of the world, from California to Lebanon to Bahrain to many, many other places in the world. It is such a pleasure for us in Greenpeace Indonesia to organize this press conference to convey from this very important fatwa, which Pak Hayu will talk further in details. First of all, I hope that all of you are in good health and spirit. Even though I think it is still very much an uphill task for all of us to meet the climate targets and to ensure climate justice and to address our existential threat. I think it's very clear with the sheer scale of the recent disasters in different parts induced by the climate crisis, and all those records constantly broken, the hottest years in the past 10 years, and all of that. And I would like to say that Greenpeace Indonesia is very proud to be part of Ummah for Earth Alliance. We will continue working with and within the alliance and to support the alliance the best we can. And I really highly appreciate the work of the alliance and the Fatwa Commission of MUI, the Council of Ulama, Indonesia Council of Ulama, And I believe this climate change fatwa from the Indonesian Council of Ulama is a watershed policy, a breakthrough policy that shows that the Islamic religious institutions in Indonesia are committed to seriously address climate crisis impacts. And this is very important because, of course, we are the largest Muslim population in the world. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population in the world. And we would like to convey messages that religious communities and institutions have responsibilities, also have responsibilities in addressing this climate crisis. I believe this fatwa can be an inspiration for more fatwas to come to address climate crisis from other parts of the world. And in the Indonesian context, we will continue, we will further the discussion, we will utilize this pretty comprehensive fatwa as one important reference to push for all stakeholders, not only religious societies, communities, and institutions, to take concrete measures to address climate crisis impacts. I thank you, everyone, and I hope with this press conference can be beneficial to all of us and for our climate endeavor. Thank you again. Over to you, Anna.
Okay, thank you, Pak Leo, for give your opening speech. So now let's hear from Dr. Hayu Prabowo as a representative from Ulama Council of Indonesia to explain more about the fatwa, and then maybe you can also tell us the stages, the process of the fatwa. The floor is yours, Mr. Hayu.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, it is a pleasure for me to talk to you all concerning the Fatwa of Ulama Council of Indonesia. As steward of the earth, it is our duty to confront the challenges of climate change that stands as one of the most pressing issues of our times. The 2023 edition of Global Risk Report by the World Economic Forum highlights the multiple areas where the world is at critical inflection point. From the 10 top risks within 2 years time frame, half of the global risks are due to the environmental and climate change. Within the 10 years time, 4 out of the 6 primary global risks due to environmental and climate change are positioned at the forefront. It is a call to action to collectively prepare for the next crisis the world may face, and in doing so, shape the pathway to a more stable, resilient world. The causes of climate change and global warming consist of various factors, but primarily stem from human behaviors that exploit natural resources, thereby reducing the Earth's ability to absorb and store carbon emissions from everyday environmentally unfriendly activities. Climate change leads to extreme weather patterns such as prolonged droughts, heavy rainfall, and rising sea levels, resulting in increased hydrometeorological disasters and failures in agriculture and fisheries. Climate change impacts directly and indirectly an array of internationally guaranteed human rights. States or duty bearers have an affirmative obligation to take effective measures to prevent and redress these climate impacts, and therefore to mitigate climate change and to ensure that all human beings or the right holders have the necessary capacity to adapt to the climate crisis. Climate justice requires that climate actions is consistent with existing human rights agreements obligations, standards, and principles. Those who have contributed the least to climate change unjustly and disproportionately suffer its harm. They must be meaningful participants in the primary beneficiaries of climate action, and they must have access to effective remedies. This practice raises various questions from public and environmental observers regarding the increased awareness of society and business about the importance of reducing greenhouse gas emissions through decreasing fossil energy use, managing tropical forests, and waste reduction, utilizing renewable energy, and supporting government's effort in implementing equitable energy transition. To provide certainty from a Sharia perspective, the community and environmental observers have approached the Ulama Council of Indonesia requesting a fatwa submitted on April 3rd, 2023 by Mandala Katolika or Mangka, Kekunisa, and Ummah for Earth. In the process of drafting this fatwa, the Fatwa Commission, along with proposed organization, conducted field visits to gather empirical evidence on the causes and impact of climate change on the ground. The follow-up of the issuance of this fatwa involves in its socialization, like today meeting, and implementation at grassroots level, which undoubtedly requires active participation from all components, not only religious figures, but also central government, local government, legislative body, educational institution, businesses, and community itself. So, MUI, Ulama Council of Indonesia also has established currently the workshop, which is what we call the Kisuci, which is the climate community of Cikias River, whereby we implement the grassroots level for these climate change issues. So it's not just regulatory, but also we do the grassroots action in our community. We express our gratitude to all parties who have contributed to the issuance of this fatwa, especially to the Fatwa Commission of Ulama Council of Indonesia, the government, academicians, environmental activists, and community who have contributed to the establishment of this fatwa. We can talk more about this in the question and answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hayu. That's a very insightful information. I just know that before proceedings with the fatwa, you also did the field visit. That's really great actions. And then following that, I will give the floor to Nuhat Awad, our Ummah for Earth campaigner, to give her views on this fatwa. And maybe you can also tell us how this fatwa can be a useful tool for the next campaigning in Ummah for Earth Alliance.
Thank you, Rahma. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak. I would like to thank you all for being in this call, and I would like to say that Ummah for Earth is an alliance. So when we say it's a alliance-led initiative, so this why you can see Dr. Audi here, Hayo, Nana. We started as 5 organizations back in 2020, and currently we are 27 organizations and 8 individual allies. We are working together to create a climate movement within Muslim communities. Why? Because it is simply a matter of climate justice. Those people that are bearing the adverse effect of climate change, that are watching or like living the severe effects, and like they are seeing all of this catastrophe all over the world, are historically the least ones that caused it. So in order to achieve justice, and at the same time, these communities are very underrepresented in international conferences, especially COPs. So we aim and we work together to be their voices. I'll start by saying that like we work, or like how do we started, or how did this fatwa start? And then I'll talk about the different avenues that we work on, and then take it there forward how we can use this fatwa. I would like to say that back in March 2023, we met in Morocco in Islam and the Climate Change Fest conference in Fes, Morocco. So Dr. Hai was there, Nana was there representing Greenpeace, I was there representing Ummah for Earth, even our ally Lingo was there, and they were one of the organizers. And we said that we need to have a fatwa in order to have a legal system that, or a legal paper that we can use and that we can mobilize imams on climate change using it. Thankfully, Dr. Hayo, when he returned back, and he, since like he's part of the Alliance as Eco Masjid Foundation, but at the same time, he works for Ulama Council. He took it forward with our office there and some of the allies, friends, and some of the prominent organizations in Indonesia. And it took around 6 months. So we had this fatwa that was endorsed by many ulama, and it, of course, by the Ulama Council of Indonesia. So as Ummah for Earth, we work on 3 levels. We work on community building, we work on education and awareness, and we work on a policy. So when we say community building, I'm going to give some examples. One of the things that we did in Jordan, we had with our ally on ground, Green Generation Foundation, a march going from Amman to Al-Aqaba for 3 days, where different activities have been done to raise awareness on climate change. At the same time, this was repeated on a second year, so it happened for the 2 consecutive years. Last year, and due to the war in Palestine and the war on the people of Gaza, we couldn't do that march, but what we did is we did a reforestation activity for the Dibin Reserve. So why we did that, because in that reserve, or it's reserves that's facing deforestation. This is on one hand, but also we were very clear that planting trees is not a solution for climate change. We are doing this because it is a sadaqah. Planting trees in Islam is a charity, and that was the reason of doing that. So as you can see, we base our work on Islamic values. And we'll go there to talk about few of the things that we did on education and raising awareness on climate change. One of the things is that our ally, Dr. Fakhruddin, and he is now from the participants watching us. Thank you, Dr. Fakhruddin, for all your efforts. Wrote a book called Lost Generation in Indonesian Bahasa, and we translated it to English and Arabic, and it's available on our Ummah for Earth website for free, of course, so you can use it. And it includes the theory, the knowledge, and at the same time, how we can be as Muslims practicing these theories on ground based on our Islamic values. So in general, he provided the solutions that's in our hand that we need as 2 billion people around the world to implement it. This is on one hand. On another hand, we did with our ally Global One a green guide for Hajj and Umrah in Indonesian Bahasa, in Malay language, English, and in Arabic, and it's available in the last 2 languages on our website. Also with our ally Bahu Trust in UK, there is a green Ramadan guide, eco-conscious Ramadan guide, that's available in English and Arabic on our website, and it was translated to Malay language and Indonesian Bahasa. Why we do all of these? Because we need to raise awareness. These guides has recommendations on individual level, how you can preserve environment, the things that you can do, going from preserving water, conserving or decreasing the use of energy, or like stopping the use of single-use plastic, all of the things that you can do on individual level, and at the same time, things that you can do on a community level by going to the imam in your village and talking to him on having a green khutbah, or by having an activity on the club in the city that you are based on. So different tips, different recommendations for individuals, for communities, and at the same time for companies that are working on the Hajj. Hajj is the pilgrimage in Islam, and recommendations for governments on how to help in having a more green Hajj, and at the same time on how to have policies that protect the most vulnerable people, these people that are suffering on a daily basis. So, as Dr. Hai was mentioning, and Mr. Leonard, this is an experience that we need to replicate. And we need to use the fatwa in our ongoing work. So we're gonna work on having an Islamic authority endorsement, since these fatwa play a significant role within Muslim communities, and we can see the possibility of having it in other countries. At the same time, we can use the fatwa in our educational campaigns. So and especially this fatwa, because it has things, or it has points around adaptation, around mitigation, the importance of using renewable energy, our role in climate action. So all of this can be extracted and used in social media campaigns. And at the same time, it can be used to raise awareness about the environmental issues within our Muslim communities that we are all facing wherever we are. Of course, this khutbah can be used as a tool in our hands when we are talking to imams, since also we are planning to see and investigate how we can add to the curriculum of teaching imams the environmental work. So when we reach out to imams, we can say them, like, there is this fatwa that Ummah for Earth collaborated with other allies and organizations on. So we encourage them as religious leaders to have a green khutbah and to have environmental themes in their sermons, and especially Friday khutbahs. And now we are in Ramadan, that last 10 days are very important. So this fatwa is a guidance, is a resource on how to integrate environmental messages grounded in Islamic teaching. Why I'm saying grounded in Islamic teaching? Because we need that reference to support fatwa. And one of the things that we built our Ummah for Earth campaign on and was used in the fatwa is the stewardship idea. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قال إني جاعل في الأرض خليفة, which means that I'm created you as a stewardship. And like, if we are entrusted on this earth, is it wise to ruin it? Or it is our duty to keep the balance? So we need to be wise, and we need to keep the balance to be a good stewards. We do many social media campaigns in order to reach to youth, since our main target audience is youth, and we're gonna also be using this fatwa. We had a few posts around that, and we're gonna also be using in our media platforms. So it can be used as a source or as a base for other educational content on our Ummah for Earth website. And of course, and we're gonna continue what we are doing in collaborating with other organizations. Although, like at the beginning, I said we have 27 organizations as an ally, but we collaborated with many other organizations in our work, and they are considered as friends of the alliance. So we're gonna collaborate with mosques, with Islamic schools, with Islamic organizations, whoever have the same objectives, in order to use the content of this fatwa, and in order to use the guidance of it in their environmental work. And indeed, we're gonna try and keep trying to engage with Muslim leaders and influencers. So these influential Muslim leaders, scholars, can amplify the message, can help us reach to wider audience, can also help us to deepen our engagement with our existing audience. So the message of environmental stewardship is grounded in Islamic principles and is reaching a huge and wider audience. So we're gonna try to encourage them and to publicly endorse the cause and share the fatwa and the educational resources that can build on it with their followers. And as mentioned, that we support local community initiative, we're gonna use the fatwa again to empower local Muslim communities to take action on environmental issues by providing guidance, that the fatwa has the guidance on how to implement eco-friendly practices in their mosques, in their schools, in their household. And at the same time, we're going to encourage the formation of grassroots environmental initiatives guided by the Islamic principles and by the guidance by this and supported by this fatwa. So the fatwa will be leveraged as a tool for campaigning and will help us to effectively mobilize Muslim communities and at the same time to take action on environmental issues and to foster greater environmental consciousness grounded in the Islamic teacher and to contribute to broader global efforts towards sustainability and conservation. And here I would like to say that fatwa can have a policy influence. We went to COP28. We had co-organized 7-side events. 5 of them were in the faith pavilion. We had a list of demands that we shared it with the faith leaders, and we asked them to take our demands to political leaders that they covered adaptation, mitigation, and many other aspects. So the fatwa itself can influence policy discussions and decision-making at local and national level in Indonesia itself, and can be taken as after now we need to do evaluation and monitoring, and this need to take 1 year. So the outcomes of it, the learnings of it can be taken on an international level. And meanwhile, we'll be trying to have other fatwas in the region. Hopefully, we'll not promising, I'm saying we'll try. So the ethical dimensions of climate change and the responsibilities that the governments and corporations have to address its root causes and impacts. So fatwas, and here I'm talking to Leonard and the Gypsy team, and to Dr. Hayo and to Dr. Fakhreddin who is watching us, and to Nana. Let us work together to use this fatwa to shape policies in Indonesia that help us prioritizing environmental sustainability, social justice, and intergenerational equity. I like to talk. I'm not going to take it forward. I still have other things to cover, but I think I would like to conclude it by the first sentence. It's that this is a matter of climate justice. This fatwa will help us to advocate for justice and equity, and all of us need to take it forward and to work together to have similar fatwas to reach to more people. And thank you for being in this press conference.
Thank you so much, Nuhat. That is so rich and also amazing. I'm also excited to hear that Ummah Forward Alliance started from 5, growing into 27 from various background, and also did a lot of actions in addressing climate change. And also it is also good to hear that this fatwa can be useful not just as a tool of campaigning, but also to empower local communities, even for influencing the policymakers to have a regulation or policy that considering climate as a main point to have the policy. Thank you again, Nuhat. And then I will give, we have still 2 speakers today. I will give the floor to Mbak Nana Firman. So Mbak Nana previously worked for Greenpeace. It is my apology to have not knowing that you've already not in Greenpeace anymore, but maybe you can also tell us and share the story with us about your initiative maybe, and also how this fatwa can be useful for the maybe movement within the Muslim communities.
Thank you so much, Rahma. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, everyone. Ramadan Kareem. Thank you for having me here. And yes, I used to work for Greenpeace for 9 years. So like a lot of people don't know yet, but this is just like 2 weeks ago, I left Greenpeace for a good reason, because I want to focus on study. So it's like shifting a little bit, but I'm still in this issue. So, and first of all, I would like to congratulate and give up my appreciation to the Ulama Council of Indonesia for the issuance of this fatwa on global climate change. Because as mentioned, this might be like the first fatwa in Indonesia, but I'm thinking like, no, this is actually probably the first in the world, a fatwa discussing about climate crisis. And I hope, as Nuhat mentioned as well, for more climate-related subject will be studied and discussed by religious institutions in Indonesia as well as in the Muslim world in the near future. So before going talking about the fatwa, I just want to like kind of like set back a little bit. So like if I could like share this quote from Gus Pett, who is the American environmental lawyer. He said this, I think like in 2012 or 2013. It's like more than 10 years ago for sure. He said, I quote, "I used to think the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address those problems. But I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And lawyers and scientists do not know how to do that." End quote. So this is a very famous quote from him. And his statement at that time sparked just a surge of interest and discussion among environmental scientists, activists, and professionals. Because like suddenly he said, like, not from science and law, but from cultural transformation and spiritual transformation. And if we looked at the Pew Research report in 2012, almost 85% of global population identified with faith traditions. So there's an immense potential for faith leaders, faith institutions, and communities to drive impactful change through collective efforts in combating this climate crisis. And this fatwa is certainly an initial step in that regard. It's not perfect, but it is a beginning, alhamdulillah. So because in like, as already mentioned also in the fatwa, I think like in the beginning, it's explained that our current planetary condition undeniably present challenges to us, to everyone on this earth: pollution, climate change, deforestation, biodiversity loss. Those are like our concern right now. And as Muslim, we certainly have a lot of work to do to contribute on solving this pressing issue. And my late friend Ibrahim Abdul Matin, Allahu Yarham, highlighted in his book Green Dean what Islam teaches about protecting the planet. It is equally important for us to systematically examine the economic inequality and to address the root cause, rather than just merely the consequences. So we need to highlight that the root causes of climate change as well as the consequences. So not just dwell on the consequences, but also the root cause. And then we must also recognize that there's like two systems in this world that causing this, the colonization and the capitalism. Both are based on exploitation of people, exploitation of land, and also nature that create a more create this climate crisis that we are facing right now. So we need a fresh perspective centered around creating a more unified and inclusive society across various sectors and faiths that hold immense potential. And then the Islamic worldview, I think, provide a framework for considering the interconnectedness of human well-being and the natural environment. And if I can just highlight a little bit about the Islamic tradition that I'm sure that the fatwa is based on what we call like the maqasid as-sharia, that based on preservation of faith, life, preservation of life, preservation of intellect, and preservation of lineage, and preservation of wealth, which are these 5 that call the ultimate objective of the Islamic law. But then the late Sheikh Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, Allahu yarham, also added the importance of environmental preservation into these elements. So as mentioned in the fatwa, any action that upholds this element is considered maslahah, beneficial, and anything that undermines them is considered mafsadah or detrimental, like destruction. So I think like Muslim religious beliefs and practices can certainly demonstrate the influence of Islam to ongoing dialogues about environmental ethics, about climate justice from a decolonial perspective. So it's very important that we highlight that decolonize our mind and our action also. So I agree with what Nuhat highlights, that we need to do a lot of work, and we need to like education, organizing, and so on and so forth. So in closing, I just want to also like mention this, that it is very important for Muslims to make this powerful impact in urging the climate change. I mean, like urging a positive change in regard to the climate crisis, like several aspects that has already mentioned, such as like educating all members of Muslim communities about the importance of this stewardship that Nuhat mentioned earlier, the environmental stewardship, this earth stewardship based on the Quran and the Sunnah. This must be introduced and disseminated from the grassroots level. So in our local masajids, in our local madrasah, the schools, the pesantren in Indonesia, we need that, like from the very grassroots all the way to the top executive and legislative in our government. So like every level. And in addition to that, we also need to like organizing initiative, events, programs, like implementation to foster our unity and mobilizing support for, any sustainable projects that has mentioned, like, through Ummah for Earth, we have a lot of those also. And this must be encouraged, more and more. And then also like advocacy for policy that have already been highlighted, that, like from this fatwa, like advocating for policy reform beyond just demographic and geographic boundaries. It must be developed, like, from this fatwa, we can, like, encourage this to the government, and not just for the Indonesian communities, like, but also maybe Muslim worldwide. And perhaps I'm also like wanted to, this is like my kind of like personal, like, I guess like, like a dream to include, like, reviving the profound wisdom, like from the Islamic tradition, such as tasawwuf, like mindfulness, like, I translate tasawwuf as mindfulness, the way like we live our life, and also like integrating the value of mizan, as already mentioned, balance, to restore our connection with the natural world, with this earth, including the ethical economy. I think that's like Muslim can contribute significantly in responding to this urgent climate crisis that we face today. So lastly, we must promote the equity and justice for all beings to the global society, and also to pave the way to establish a genuine Muslim climate justice movement, and deeply rooted in God consciousness, in Tawheed, and in exceptionality of individual who will one day be held accountable to their creator about how we manage this earth as the Khalifa, like as Nuhat mentioned earlier, as the Khalifa al-Ard during our lifetime in this earth. So together, I hope hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, working towards protecting this earth for flourishing earth and sustainable future, inshallah. Thank you.
Inshallah, Masya Allah, Mbak Nana. I feel like I heard I'm attending the motivator session when you're talking about the root causes and also how the interconnectedness between the human and also the natural and also our responsibility as a Khalifa in this earth, not just maintaining the connection to God, but also to human and also to environment. Thank you again, Mbak Nana. I will give opportunity to Dr. Ode finally to give his view on this fatwa, and maybe you could also have some plan on this fatwa, how this fatwa can be useful as academic tools, maybe. Dr. Ode, please, the floor is yours.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Thank you for the invitation. I think Ramadan Kareem. I think the fatwa represents a contribution to transforming what I call a scientific discourse into a policy discourse, where people are realizing the challenge that now we are living at what we call a tipping point, and we are living at a stage of rethinking our development paradigm or development model globally, since there is a market failure or also a policy failure or systemic failure. So now we need to, this fatwa is a contribution with what I call to a moral economy, a shift to a moral economy, since the capitalism and the current economic model suffers from blind spots and what I call ecological amnesia, or what I call certain disorder. There is a nature deficit disorder. We are not appreciating the value of our ecosystem services. We are not appreciating the beauty of this cosmos. And now the part of the exploitation or colonialist mindset is that we think that humans have the freedom to exploit resources without any accountability. And we believe that oneness of knowledge and oneness of thinking, that we are part of environment. Humans are not observers or alien species watching the environment. We are part of the ecosystem. And by protecting the environment, we are protecting the humanity as well. The key message is that we are applying through this fatwa the idea of maqasid, the purpose of jurisprudence, which is basically no harm, la darar wa la dirar. There's no harm, or you don't cause harm or be a source of harming others. Others represents not only living species, but also non-living species. In Islam, we believe that shay, which is basically translated from Spanish or Greek as kai, which means kai when the Spanish translated the Islamic heritage. So kai basically is shay. We believe that shay is not a material. Shay is a living. It's a spiritual. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَلَكِنْ لَا تَفْقَهُونَ تَسْبِيحَهُم. Everything is in a state of prayer or sujood. It's alive, it's intelligent, it's articulate. And now people in quantum physics, they talk about consciousness of the matter. The electron has a conscience in entanglement when you do the electron experiment. So now even in science, they talk about the consciousness of matter. So the root cause of environmental degradation or climate challenge is the absence of spirituality and the absence of moral economy. I think Islam, Ummah for Earth, has a mandate, it has a contribution to realign the compass, the moral compass, since human rights, human security and environmental security are intertwined. They are inseparable. You cannot separate the destruction of people in Palestine with this destruction of universe, of climate change. So climate change, the debate about climate change is not a luxury. It's not a utopian luxury for people who are green. It's about saving humanity. So we need to engage in the right debate. We are not a green movement, and Greenpeace is not only a special interest group, it's a global humanitarian movement that has a mandate to liberate humanity or to save humanity, because humans are part of nature. So there is no separation between species and humans. So no harm principle is the first idea. The second idea is in Surah Al-Asr, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر. We are in loss. Humanity are in loss unless they join word and deed. Unity or oneness of word and deed, الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, and also enjoining good and forbidding evil. This fatwa is a testimony of the role of Muslim Ummah for a moral economy, for a moral human emancipation, and for enjoining good and enjoining decolonization of the mind. The second notion is the idea of empathy. We live now in the idea of the role of a human as a trustee and a witness. So we are not only consumers. And the pursuit of happiness, according to Adam Smith or capitalism, the pursuit of happiness is not about accumulation of goods or consuming more, but rather it's about consuming responsibly. And that's why Ummah for Earth represents what I call a median community, Ummah Wasat. Ummah Wasat, that does not mean average, it means the optimum options between secularism or mysticism. So it's about having the rational imperative to be in the middle between East and West and North and South. A median community that also emphasizes empathy, human empathy and human emancipation, human freedom and justice. Rather than expanding territory, we need to expand empathy and mercy. That's why Islam, the Prophet says that Islam is about rahma lil alameen. It's about mercy for humanity, not only for one species, for Arabs or Muslims. It's mercy for humanity. So we need to broaden the perspective of Islam for Ummah for Earth discourse, that Islam is not about saving species or saving climate or reducing climate emissions. It's beyond that. It's about healing humanity. This third point is about rethinking the development model. We need to make a distinction between growth versus development. Growth, making things bigger for the sake of growth. So we don't adhere to the model of growth for the sake of growth, because cancer cells is a growth, but it's not the right growth. So we need to talk about responsible growth that calls for good life, for hayat tayyiba. So I think in order to define sustainability and the role of Muslim Ummah in climate discourse, we need to define what constitutes a good life, a hayat tayyiba. Good life is not about accumulation of goods or luxury, but rather it's about adhering to ethical codes and adhering to justice and equity. So I think the notions of having a network of networks and limits to growth, now people are realizing, even after the 5 decades of Club of Rome limits to growth, that the current model of growth is not sustainable and it's leading to existential crisis. That's why we need to rethink our development model and rethink our paradigm of development. I think this fatwa represents, again, emphasis on the role of Muslims as a balance and a median community. This fatwa represents a contribution to a new discourse for spiritual intelligence. What I mean by spiritual intelligence is that we are not digital natives. We are not digital or natives or digital refugees in a digital economy. We are spiritual species. فإذا سويت ونفخت فيه من روحي. We are part of the spirit of the creator, and we need to respect this balance between matter and spirit. The oneness of sciences, and this fatwa represents the oneness of sciences between natural sciences and social sciences, and also the oneness of humanity to put together a formula for emancipation and freedom for humanity from greed of a capitalist model of colonization. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Ode. It is very comprehensive thoughts. I just underlining that you also mentioned about the moral economy, and I think Nana also mentioned about the ethical economy. That is in line, and also about the responsibility growth. I love that term because somehow, and I think many evidence prove that the environmental degradation causes by unresponsibility growth. Thank you again, Dr. Ode. So all of our speakers have give their thoughts today. And after this, I will open the Q&A session. If any attendees have any question for our speaker today, you may raise your hand, and you can also put your question in the chat box, and maybe parallel with that, our speakers could also just type the answer on the chat box. We have a hand, one from Pak Didin Safruddin. I will unmute you. You can talk right now. I think Pak Didin, I already unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Ummah for Earth for inviting me from Pusat Pengkajian Islam dan Masyarakat, from the Center for the Study of Islam and Society, Sharif Hidayatullah Islamic University based in Jakarta. Of course, I'm very happy to see you again, Nuhad, Veronici, and also Dr. Ode, and Mbak Rahma from also Mbak Pahayu, Pak Leonard. This is my first time to see Pak Leonard, and also Mbak Nana Firman. I have heard so many times your name all, but this is my first time. What I would like to comment is that second, I would like to congratulate, to appreciate for Indonesian Ulama Council to finally to issue a fatwa. Why it is very important? Because Indonesian Council of Ulama is an independent institution. This body is not the extension of the state, nor no particular civil society. It's really independent, and bringing in making fatwa into existence involve so many parties, as mentioned Pak Hayu, government, academician, environmental movement, and also religious group of various kind. So this is resulted from what we call dialogue of different parties, and this is resulted from the discussion based on religion, on scientific finding. I would this is not easy task, My question is how this conversation, how this dialogue, or how musyawarah in Islamic term, in Quranic term, can be extended in more broader audience. I imagine if Majelis Ulama Indonesia, Indonesian Council of Ulama, invite the corporate or the government or the wider civil societies to talk, to dialogue about climate change in wider context. That must be very significant impact, I guess. Instead of being alone, for example, one particular organization, I think Indonesian Ulama Council would be very influential if invite the Ministry of Environment, then the academicians, and also all religious national religious bodies like from Protestant and from other faith. I think that's would be even more influential. To what extent that this can be extended, can be expanded? And the second question is there any case from international experience perspective that could be brought to this, to the idea of musyawarah of all parties, all parties? That my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Didin. So I guess the first question is for Pak Hayu. And then maybe if other speaker would like to also have additional thoughts about it, you may add it. Please, Dr. Hayu.
Thank you. Yeah. So the Ulama Council of Indonesia, we just independent. We are independent organization. We are not, we are not paid by government actually. And our fatwa is different with others, whereby in the muftis we are collective fatwa by the Islamic scholars, whereby it represents all of the Islamic organization in Indonesia. So it's not a mufti, one mufti, but it's a collective mufti actually. So it's discussion rigorously for all of the Islamic fiqh and also the scientific one. So the fatwa is actually combining the scientific and religious view. That's the first comment. And the secondly is that for the communication we use the pentahelix approach, whereby we have the government, the society, the academician, and the public, and the other is there's pentahelix. There's 5. Should be 5. So yeah, so we use that kind of approach, and we also not only by the desktop, but we also go to the field. We have twice in Sumatra and in Kalimantan. We see by ourselves the damage of these, the climate change effect. So that's actually we have the very rigorous discussion with government as well, with the academician. And I think we cover all of those. Of course, we cannot involve everybody in this discussion, but we selected the people that we think it's competent enough to have their view put into our fatwa. So that's, of course, it will not cover everything, because such as the fossil fuel, we still use it. The fossil fuel is, we cannot put as haram because we are still using it, and so that it is obliged that everybody to have so in the fatwa it's obliged everybody to have to do the energy transition because of this the fossil fuels is still being used by the society. In the first draft of the fatwa, we put the haram, but after discussion with many parties, it is, we put it as not haram, but we obliged to do the energy transition. Probably that's answer your question. Hopefully this answer your question, Pak Didin. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Hayu. Any additional from other speaker?
I think Pak Didin asked one of the question, how can we sort of like disseminate or like expand this into like a global like effort, like the Musyawarah, the Shura. So I think like within the UNFCCC, they have what is the Talanoa dialogue. It's the initiative from Fiji back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's so it's almost like Musyawarah, actually, like Shura. It's the tradition in the Pacific Islands communities where they have gathered like, from community to community to kind of have a discussion on an issue and try to have like a consensus. So when I learned about the Talanoa dialogue, I said, oh, we do this in Indonesia a lot. So I think we can sort of like disseminate that, like using our surah system in a Muslim like tradition, like, like I'm sure in all many parts of the world, in the Muslim world, the communities like very familiar with that. So, and also like as Nuhad mentioned, like through the Ummah for Earth, we have a lot of like our allies members, and I also mentioned about like it has to be like from the grassroots. So like our local masjid, local langgar in Indonesia, like ribat, like like in like North African context. So like all those locals, like we need to talk about this in the local, very local like level. Maybe like not in the format of fatwa, but probably we need a communication like translated into the communication format. But I'm sure like we can disseminate this and also like with the higher level, like maybe like with the Majlis Ulama, create like a workshop or a seminar on this, because this is we need to get the ball rolling, like because this is now already like on the path, so we cannot like go back. So like we need to kind of make the ball rolling. And then Dr. Ode like gave a lot of like point that is very important, that we need to bring that into the discussion in so we need to find after this fatwa a format how we can disseminate this and then create more like space and like space for more dialogues. And I'm sure it's like more things coming up, and I'm very excited actually.
Well,
Thank
if
you,
I
Pak
may-
Didin, for the question.
Sorry, thank you. If I may, just for the diffusion or speeding up the diffusion of the ideas and spread of the fatwa, I think we have two more than one level. One level perhaps is, I think I agree with the grassroots, with Nana's approach, but also we have an existing institutional framework already in place. The Azhar, ISISCO, the COMSTEC for the scientific community, ISISCO for education and culture, OIC as for the political leaders. So I think there are more than one ideas that you can translate the fatwa from scientific discourse into a policy discourse through COMSTEC, ISISCO, OIC, and Azhar University, Azhar Mosque. So I think we have existing platforms. The Hajj, the idea of Hajj, I mean, Ummah for Earth has some initiatives in Hajj. The idea of Hajj is لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. So we witness benefits. Benefits is a broader term. So benefits for public goods, benefits for the human well-being, benefits for transition toward a sustainable, responsible growth. So the Hajj is a good opportunity that Muslims from all over the world have a certain, I would say, think tank for a green global forum during the Hajj time in Jeddah or in Medina. So I think it would be interesting that you have the top 100 global thinkers who are coming to Hajj to discuss these ideas of global commons and moral economy and the transformation towards more spiritual world, and propose ideas, innovative ideas for sustainable innovation and sustainable society.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ode and Mbak Nana for the. Okay, Nuhat, you have also additional thoughts
No,
or
I'm not
comment?
going to add to what Dr. Audi and Nana, they summed it properly, but like there is one of the questions that was answered by Martin Kopp. He said that he works for Greenpeace Friends. Hello, Martin. And I would like to say it's very nice to see a Protestant scholar here, because like this is, let's say, the core of what Ummah for Earth do and the fatwa. So as you mentioned, you work on and you defend degrowth in the global north. And I would like to tell you that we, as Dr. Audi also mentioned, it's against the morality to overconsume and to not take care of other species while we are acting from the minimal thing in our life to everything, the biggest one. Yeah. So it's very nice to say that you appreciate the spiritual perspective, the unlimited growth. And I would like to tell you one of the things that we did as Ummah for Earth in UAE not last year, the year before, it was the first MENA Climate Week. We had the first side event with ACT Alliance, which is an alliance of churches in the MENA region, and we worked together with them. And one of the things that also we worked with other faiths like the Buddhist Society and the Baha'i International Society and other organizations from different faiths to co-organize 7 side events at COP28. So in our work as on Ummah for Earth and in this fatwa, although it's a fatwa for Muslim communities, all of this push us and drive us to interfaith dialogue and collaboration. Why? First of all, this will broaden the reach of Ummah for Earth message. Second, it will help us to highlight the common values shared by Islam and other faith traditions regarding environmental protection, and also it will push us to work together hand by hand and shoulder by shoulder, as our logo shows, like people coming shoulder by shoulder by their faith to protect our Mother Earth. So this will encourage mutual support for environmental initiatives. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Nuhat. I think we 12 minutes before we end the session. There is one question in the chat box. It says, how can fatwas be a powerful tool for impacted communities around the world? I assume Nuhat maybe would like to answer this question.
Let's see if someone else from the panelists would like to take it. Then if no, I can take it.
Well, I think if I may, I think the fatwa, as I just mentioned, is one way to apply what we call policy in terms of maqasid al-sharia, the intent, the purpose of jurisprudence. I think this can be scaled up and communicated through many forums, but the idea is very simple. We need to simplify the jargon, the Islamic terminology to very simple, which is about no harm, la darar wa la dirar, and make it easy for people to communicate that Islam is about mercy and we are part of environment, and the idea of oneness is about we are being in harmony with nature, and we need to foster our trusteeship and our responsibility towards our mother nature, our al-ard, our mother nature.
Thank you, Dr. Audi. I would like to just sum what I've already mentioned, that this fatwa will help us in religious endorsement and getting in contact with imams and other religious leaders in order to get the endorsement for the fatwa, and at the same time use it as a guidance for their work and for our work with them. Also, as mentioned, we can use it in awareness and education within communities. At the same time, it's a tool for advocacy for justice and equity. As Dr. Audi mentioned and also previously mentioned, it has a policy influence and can have the ability to affect political discussions and decision-making process. Moreover, it can, on a community level, provide guidance on how we add or build resilience and adaptation to climate change impact, particularly in vulnerable communities that our aim is to protect them through this project. So it helps in endorsing sustainable agricultural practices, water conservation measures, DDR, disaster preparing initiative, and the other adaptation strategies. As I've answered previously, Mr. Cobb, is also a base for interfaith collaboration. And I would like to end it by saying it's a base for global advocacy, because when it is issued by people like Ulama Council and these prominent institutions that has prominent Islamic scholars, it helps amplify the voice of the climate impacted communities on global stages and global level. It can be taken and to international conferences at COP. So it will for sure contribute to the national advocacy in Indonesia, and also it can be taken to help in the international advocacy efforts for climate justice, to ask corporations, to ask governments and international organizations. What we have been asking personally for the past 10 years, the people in the climate change, it's the COP29, what we have been asking for the past 30 years, to take ambitious actions to mitigate the greenhouse gases emissions and support vulnerable populations and communities in their adaptation and in their resilience. So hopefully this will help us to have a sustainable and equitable future. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuhad. We still have like 7 minutes.
Can I add something?
Yes,
Narana?
Ayu, sure.
Oh yeah. Okay, so actually we just found out that for advocation, especially in Indonesia, that advocation we normally goes into the legal path, but actually based on what the submission of the office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights to the 21st Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Commission and of Climate Change, which is so especially in simple ways, it is the submission of the office OHCHR, which is the human rights. We understand that it is for the international movement, we can use this kind of human rights issue, because in Indonesia we have the complexities of the forest-related issues, including the policy intricacies and the enforcement of challenges that present considerable obstacle to Ulama Council of Indonesia understanding and advocation. So, as a religious organization, we prioritize humanitarian concerns. Advocating from a human rights standpoint becomes especially pertinent, aligning with the core values and principles of the Ulama Councils and directly influencing the human welfare. So what we have found out that using the path of human rights will be not only national, Indonesian national, but also influence the international, because it has been recognized the human rights is linked into the climate change issue. So in short, that we can use the human rights path to get the climate justice. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hayu. I see a hand from Pak Leo. So
Yeah,
please.
just a few words. Well, having this fatwa, a very comprehensive fatwa issued by the Indonesian Council of Ulama is, of course, quite an achievement. But having it widely spread and understood in the society, and I'm talking more about the Indonesian society, the 200 million people of Muslim, it's a different story. It's so well, a campaigning organization, it will need a very good campaign strategy, lots of digital creativity. I mean, and Greenpeace Indonesia has shown the capability of doing that. And would like to invite also other members of UMA for Earth Alliance to explore. I mean, we need to go to the new ways of campaigning with this, because it's in a way it brings a certain advantage with this fatwa, but it's also certain set of challenges, because there is the complexity that we are facing, and of course, in the political economy sense, I mean, we are not working in a vacuum. I mean, there are other factors for pro-status quo components in the society who will probably trying to get a different kind of fatwa from, I mean, I'm just imagining, but I think Pak Hayu will refuse to have a pro-status quo fatwa. But we're seeing that. We're seeing unprecedented constitutional case from a corporation in you know in and the Constitutional Court elements, also exploring new ways. And we will need to win in digital front. We will need to win in, and we will need creativity in our political lobbying, which has been shown also with the multi-stakeholders approach by the Indonesia's Alliance of UMA for Earth, working with the Council of Ulama of Indonesia, with Pak Hayu's office, and eventually made this fatwa issuance possible. I mean, that's let us not be let us be very clear that there is of course challenges, complexities that we will still have to face, and then we will need to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Leo. So we're running out of time, but in this very short time, I will give the floor to Nuhat, maybe to thanking the alliance that joining this call today. So please, Nuhat.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Rahma, for this amazing facilitation, Mr. Leonard, and all of the Gypsy team for all your efforts. And also, I would like to thank the allies that are present and participants. We have Dr. Husna Ahmad, she's participating with us. She part of Global One. Ines also is with us. We have at the same time Imam Safed Katovic, who is our individual ally. He resides in USA. He's also with us in the participants. So thank you. And Dr. Fakhruddin also, thank you for having the time and making the time. And the wider alliance that is from Pakistan to Malaysia, Indonesia, Canada, USA, MENA region, Kenya, Nigeria, Canada, I said Canada, London, UK, and Germany. Moreover, I would like to thank our team in Ummah for Earth, Veroniki, Mado, Wasim, that like they have been part of this, but I'm the spokesperson for that. You can see my face, but like they are also part of this. I would like to thank people from our office that are here. Jose, I'm seeing you. Nancy, welcome on board. Ibtisam, I love you. Thank you for all of the participants that made their time. And I know you are fasting, and in Indonesia, it's near iftar time. In our region, it's near noon. So it's half the day. Thank you for making time in this holy month. And we are look forward to work with you to implement this fatwa as a tool for community work and for policy work in Indonesia, and to use it as a learning experience in the MENA region. We look forward to keep growing Ummah for Earth together and to keep working to the better of humanity together. Thank you, Dr. Aude, Dr. Hayu, Nana, the amazing Nana, Leonard, Rahman, everyone in this panel for being here. And the recording will be available on YouTube. You can share it with your people, with your network, and it was also live on the Facebook of our office in Malaysia. So thank you all, and have a good day. Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you, Nuhat. Before we finish, I encourage all the participants, if you have any further questions on this or require additional information, you can reach out to our team, Ummah for Earth team. We will support you. We will assist you any way we can. And once again, thank you for your time and attention. Thank you for all speakers for your valuable contribution and your expertise, sharing your thoughts for this global press conference. Let's continue working together towards this. Thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful day, wonderful afternoon, wonderful morning, wonderful evening, even. And for those of you who live in Indonesia time, happy Iftar Mubarak. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy Iftar in Jakarta and Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur and Jakarta. Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Bye.
Salam. Bye.